Welcome back, everyone. We've lane swapped D-Man for Deficio as we are joined here by Moobs of the Super Hot Crew after that impressive win versus Gambit Gaming in 26 minutes, 3 seconds. That is the fastest win in the EU LCS. Talk us through it from the beginning, maybe starting with leaving the Evelyn open for Diamond.
So we let Evelyn open because she's kinda weak when you invade her, and that was our plan when we get into this game. Pick strong laners like Renekton and Gale, and we just contest every single red buff, and we snowball from it. So our bot lane just played safe because normally they die to every gank, so they just played safe, and we just invade everything, and they can't do anything because Evelyn is too weak.
And that's something we noticed with the invading. Of course, we saw Impaler get his Vi, which himself could have gone for yesterday. Didn't work out, went for a Pantheon instead. Wasn't so great, but we noticed with the invades, there was a lot of ward coverage helping out Mima in that top lane. Was that like a focus that you guys had worked on pre-game?
Yeah, like yesterday after the stomp we got by Millennium, we prepared some plan, and our plan was to just invade, and Renekton is really much stronger than Trundle in early game, so he was just proxying between the two turrets, and it's easy for him to just invade after that, and if Darian comes, he loses like 1 or 2 waves because he can't proxy like Renekton.
So obviously he has to feel more comfortable. I'm talking about Impaler to do those invades against a team like Gambit. When we were talking to him before, he said, I was forced on the Elise by my team yesterday. So why aren't you guys giving him the liberty to go for something else?
Well, Vi was open like last 2 games, but we didn't pick her, even though we won every game with her. And the game yesterday didn't go that well with Pantheon because they had really mobile setup. And with Vi, it doesn't matter if they are mobile or not because it's really easy to catch. So we decided to go with the Vi this time, and it went really good.
And I want to talk about briefly the top lane. Obviously, we saw Mima doing great, but the Renekton versus Trundle, it's a matchup we've seen a lot in the LCS recently. Obviously, we see that Renekton was favored by you guys. Any particular reason for that? I mean, the build was pretty different in itself. You went straight for the Ravenous Hydra.
Well, Trundle is considered as a counter to Renekton because of his ultimate, but in early game it doesn't really matter. And Mima went for Tiamat this game, so even the ultimate of Trundle doesn't really do anything since he doesn't have that much defensive stats. And yeah, that's it.
We would almost forget about it, but it was Lulu mid again. We were up against him, and this time around, you won a lane matchup as a Kayle versus Lulu. Yesterday, it wasn't that straightforward. What was the difference in how you played it?
Well, I actually think that Lulu beats Kayle pretty hard in lane because she outruns Kayle so much. But Alexis flashed on me level 2 or 3, and after that, Vi was level 4 with double buff, just came behind her, and she died so easily. Then it's kind of snowball from it. It's really easy to kill Lulu as Vi without flash.
Now, pre-game, we saw the feature with you guys talking about how you really need to get a shot caller in your team. Have you found that person now that obviously you've got the gaming house set up? Are you guys suddenly tactically more aware than you were, say, at the start of the season?
Well, we still don't have our gaming house yet. We will move into it this weekend, hopefully. But yesterday, when we lost against Millennium, during the whole game, no one was really doing calls or even talking. And yeah, we talked about it after this game, and today everyone was talking, giving information, making calls, and everything is easier.
Well, great performance from you guys, showing again that every team can beat every team here in European LCS. And another great important matchup in that feed is ROC as they go up against Fnatic in the next game. D-Man, what do you think?
It's going to be a tough one. You got to give it to Fnatic. You know, the fact that they got beaten so heavily by Alliance, it kind of shocked them. You even saw them at the end of the game, how stunned they were. I think they would have put a lot of focus on this game, maybe more than anything else, and maybe that's the reason they lost yesterday, because they were only focusing on ROC.
I'm not too sure. ROC was playing really well at the start of the season, but they seem to fall down a bit right now. And Fnatic, I think they have more experience, and I think Fnatic will take it.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. And once again, congratulations. What an impressive performance. Can't get over it. But now let's head over to Joe and Deficio for our next game.
Thank you very much, Shox and Demon. I'm Joe Miller, and I'm joined here by the Dane from the bottom lane, Martin Deficio Lunga, and we're ready to bring you the second half of today's matchups, beginning with Fnatic versus ROC. Now, yesterday, Fnatic lost for a second time in a row. That means, this time against the Lions, which kind of threw their record off after they lost to Gambit before that one. On the other side of the coin, though, ROC were able to get back to winning ways as they picked off Millennium. And my first question to you is, 2 losses in a row, does that mean that the Fnatic dominance is now over, Deficio?
I don't think the dominance is over, but it's pretty obvious for everyone now that teams have figured out Fnatic and they're starting to catch up. Fnatic started out so strong, these teams had to kind of get going themselves. Some of the new teams, Alliance was one of them, really had to learn how to play together. And now they actually figured out how Fnatic plays, they figured out the champions, and they've now been using it. I still think Fnatic is going to be very strong, but I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to get the wins they need. And actually, the last time these two teams faced off, Peke was destroying Overpower in the mid lane. A thing worth noticing there is that Peke, in the last 2 games where they actually lost, has been pretty much terrible. He died 1v1 to Alex, and he died 1v1 to Froggen, and he's really been not there to help his team out.
And also I have to say that Fnatic's bottom lane haven't really had the same impact that we saw from them in those earlier weeks where they were doing so well.
Yeah, in the early weeks, they had the Jinx, and they constantly picked up kills in the lane and snowballed from there. It's been banned away quite a lot, or they have actually gone for something else, like Caitlyn and Lucian, they played the last few times where they actually lost. Regulus has a 100% win rate on his Jinx, and if he can pick it up today, I actually expect them to win this bot lane and maybe see some of the old Fnatic style.
And some interesting stats from that one, just to compare the weeks. Week 1, they were 33, 7, and 77 between them over 4 games. In week 3, they were 15 kills, 15 deaths, 60 assists. So you can see that the numbers in themselves have kind of fallen off there.
Yeah, and another thing actually we can touch on, other than just the bot lane right here, is a double AP combo Fnatic has been running. I'm not too big of a fan of it yet. It requires you to win the early game, and it requires both the AP champions to actually snowball, so you're very strong in the first few fights, because you don't have a tank. So if you get into these late game fights and the enemy team has like a Trundle running in your face and you have double AP, it's very hard to actually win these fights.
And so has actually said on Twitter earlier on in the day that people aren't liking the double AP comp, so he's just going to fall back to Yorick, which I for one hope doesn't happen. But we did see ROC, as I said before, get back on the horse and get back to winning some games. They pulled off a slow but very convincing win against Millennium.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket looked actually very strong again. And it was nice to see them bouncing back. The lanes were very strong, the rotations were very good. And once they got into the team fight, they did really, really well. And the best thing about it, they played with patience. And then every time Millennium made a misplay, they just punished it and, used that to snowball the game. Yeah. And Vander, we just saw Mixer play Fresh. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. But Vander and Fresh as well. He's so good on it. Like, he's landing hooks everywhere. He's setting up kills for his team. And also, he's saving everyone with the lantern. He's playing it so well. You rarely see him actually go into the middle of the team fight. He'd rather stay back and save someone out and then make a play from there. I do think, though, people should actually start banning away this Fresh.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think it's a very real possibility here against Fnatic. We'll find about that when we get in towards Champion Select, but for me, Fnatic are looking a little bit shaky. Yes, it's only 2 wins, but do you think that ROC have got what it takes now to keep Fnatic on that losing streak?
It's hard to say, but I think this is really the time for Rocket to actually beat Fnatic. If they can get an early lead, Fnatic will kind of feel the same way they've been doing now in the losses and saying, whoa, we're doing something wrong. What's actually going on? We need to fix this. And so if Rocket can get this early game going and maybe snowball it from there, I can see them win it. We have to realize, though, Fnatic is a very experienced team. And I talked a bit with the manager and Fnatic themselves, and they're taking it completely easy. There's no risk or harm in anything they've been doing so far.
Well, sparks flew last time these two teams clashed in an epic game that came right down to the wire. And although ROC lost, they are hoping to correct those mistakes, and both teams are eager to face off each other again.
The game against Rocket was really close for both teams, so probably this week's game will be really close as well.
I think it's a good match to play against Rocket directly, so it's like a fast revenge. The hype will be here, we had a really good game against them. I'm sure that they want to play against us.
So it's pretty good to play versus the same team like week after week, because you just can look at your mistakes and get better because of that.
I think Rocket had a lot more to learn from the game that we did, because we were the ones with the advantage and we were the ones doing the mistakes.
We can learn more from losing than from winning, then isn't that bad.
All we kind of learned was that we need to work on our mid game and make sure that we don't make any mistakes in the mid game to give them a chance to come back.
I'm looking forward to play against them again. We have good practice against them and we know that they're really strong, all of them.
It's going to be a pretty hard game versus Fnatic, but maybe we'll get our revenge.
One of the interesting things said there from Reckless, the mid-game they feel is the key to taking down Rocket. Do you agree with that?
I agree, because what Rocket is really good at is moving around the map, take objectives, and then force a team fight in favor of them. If Fnatic can stop this and actually win some of these fights, they can completely shut down Rocket.
Well, with the two teams nearly ready to go, let's send it down to Quickshot, who's standing by with Team Rocket's manager, Fly.
Thank you very much, Joe. I am joined by Tomislav Machiaev. I tried to say that. First of all, we know you. You've been around the scene for a long time. Introduce yourself to the audience and how you got involved with KMT, or the team that's now known as Rocket.
Okay, yeah, my name is Thomas. I'm Bulgarian. I used to manage some big teams in Europe, like Curcio, Millennium, and others. After finishing with Mouseport, which I helped in the previous LCS qualifier, I wanted to build a team of myself. Around me, but I wanted 3 people of the Rocket team, current one. Sadly, they kicked their old manager and they made me an offer directly to manage the whole team. After that, pretty much we replaced NIQ and Super Ace with Jankos and Vander, and that's how the team became what it is today.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about your role and the background of Rocket as an organization. What do you do and how does the things work in the background?
Like, compared to most of the teams that are here in Europe, we decided to follow the Korean method. We joined directly a company, which means the people that are working behind Rocket are actually supporting us, working for the team, and they bring a business perspective and business way of work, like a full-time job as a professional players, rather than others that work with organizations.
Well, tell me something now about some of the future for Rocket. Are you guys planning to get a gaming house? And in conjunction with that, how do you prepare for a week's LCS games?
Well, currently we're boot camping in a house that we rented for a short term while we find our own house, which is hopefully going to be soon. We prepare 5 days a week, from which most of the time the coach is working with the team, picks, bans, scrims, of course, 5 to 6 to 8 hours a day of scrims.
Well, it sounds like a lot of preparation, and congratulations, it's been a successful start to the splits. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Rocket. Now we're going to throw this one back over to Deficio and Joe as they cast the rematch of Rocket versus Fnatic.
Yeah, really excited to see how this one all ends up. So let's get straight to it and check out the lineups for our two teams, starting on the blue side with Fnatic. They are Soaz up top, Cyanide in the jungle, Xpeke in the mid lane, Reckless the AD carry, and Yellow Star the support.
And on the red side, we have Team Rocket with Sasos in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle, Overpower in the mid lane, Celavas the AD carry, and Vander on support.
So as we move towards Champion Select then, what are we expecting to see from a couple of these teams? We've already touched on Vander's Thresh, but we know that Yellow Star can play it as well.
Yeah, Yellow Star has been a great Thresh, except for maybe a little misplay yesterday. Other than that, he's been doing really well, and obviously this is just, it happens. He's been doing so well overall, he's been an amazing support, and ever since Worlds where he stepped up, he's been, for me, probably the best support in Europe. So seeing him maybe battling with Vander for this Thresh, or either ban it out and go for something else and try and outplay them, could be, a possibility for Fnatic. And I really hope they will prioritize this Jinx, because I want to see Reckless back on Jinx. I want to see them dominate the lane again, and really show how good they are.
They've got a 100% win rate with Jinx, so that is maybe the important fact to bear in mind in this one. But we are going to get into Champion Select then and see exactly how things are going to go down. Coming quickly here, so we better move on. Pantheon and Kayle removed here from Fnatic, taking it away from Jankos, and Overpower has played a mean Kayle till now. Kassadin a standard red side ban, or a ban against Fnatic, you could even argue. Annie taken away, as is Gragas.
Yeah, the smart thing about the bans from Fnatic here is they actually hit 2 players. Both Jankos and Overpower play both Gragas and Pantheon. So by doing that, they pretty much risk every time, or the risk of Rocket early picking something, and you don't know which lane it's going to. So it's actually very smart. Kayle, we've seen how strong she is, so it's very smart to ban her away, and they don't want to risk it because last time they played, Rocket extended the game, even though they were behind and got into this late game situation. If they had a Kayle, it's very scary.
Now, we're left now with the question of, do Fnatic go double AP again? We saw them in the previous 2 games, the only games we should mention as well that they've lost. That man on your screen there at the top, so as said, people don't like it anymore. I'm going to default back to Yorick. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I have to be honest.
I don't think he's going to first pick.
What is likely here for the first pick?
We have pretty much all the junglers open, so they don't necessarily have to first pick one of them. Instead, they go with the 6 to take it away from overpower. He did the jungle item 6 last time, where he was, farming pretty much all the time. He just pushed out the wave, and then he went to the jungle camps, and he took all the farm away from Jankos. Pega might try and do the same here. Cyanide is more of a, passive supportive jungler, so you can actually make this tactic work for them. I like the fact, though, with this and the double AP they played beforehand, we don't actually know if they're going to pick up something else AP-wise, or if this one going to be the only one. It could even be Source top lane on 6.
Tanky top lane Ziggs. Not this time.
We have seen a lot of things in Europe so far, so we can't rule anything out.
And especially even from ROC, we can argue there with the Mordekaiser coming out, but they are going for 2 very strong picks from their side. Elise, who just generally is an incredibly strong pick, but we mentioned in the pre-game, Vander on Thresh, that is actually their first pick here.
Yeah, Fnatic actually sacrificed quite a lot on first picking 6, because now they give overall the strongest jungler in Elise, and also what most people would say the strongest support at the moment. Also due to the fact that Thresh is more or less a counter to Leona, and Annie is banned away, so it puts Fnatic in a situation where they have to find something else. We have seen Yellowstar play Nunu support in the past, actually combined with the Caitlyn pick and their very tower push minded setup. He might be going for this again, especially because they have the 6, so the siege potential with 6 Caitlyn and Nunu is pretty much insane for Fnatic.
And pair that in possibly with a Warwick top. I'm not going to get rid of that idea just yet to give the group that attack speed as well. Still so many options on the table here for Fnatic. We did see actually a couple of times already playing that Caitlyn for Reckless. Done pretty well with it overall. Leona coming in, Leona, Thresh, Annie, I guess the 3 that we really see the most in the bottom lane. With Annie banned, kind of obvious that it'd go towards that Leona choice.
Well, that's the thing again. It's not really that obvious because Yellowstar was actually the guy saying that Thresh is the counter for her, for Leona.
That's true.
Yet he feels confident he can pick it here, and maybe we want to see some lane swapping so they avoid the lane versus the Thresh, and then try and focus more on the team fight based. I like the fact though, again, with the 6 Caitlyn, you can harass down, you have a lot of poke, and then you have to hard engage if someone drops low from Rocket to start the fight. On the other side, Elise, no hard engage on her, and Thresh, you'll need to land the hooks to actually do the proper engage. So Rocket might look for something else here to do the, the real hard engages.
Well, if anyone has been landing hooks so far here in Europe, then probably argue that it might be Vander. They've picked up Renekton here again. You're going to argue maybe till the end of the day whether Renekton is the strongest top laner right now. Certainly up there with the strongest top laners, there's no doubt about that. I'm going for Lucian here as the AD carry for Celiva.
Yeah, Lucian is pretty much always the pick you want to go versus Caitlyn, because he can deal with in lane. If you go for a Jinx, you're going to get harassed quite a lot by the Caitlyn, and it's very hard for you to really do too much. Lucian kind of works the same way as Caitlyn, just, a little bit shorter range, but he has his Q. It's very easy to hit and then go in for the double auto attack, so you can actually trade with her. Renekton on top, it's safe. You pretty much ensure yourself for having a dominant early game, and if he's locking in this Yorick though. Mundo against Renekton. You trade pretty much the early game pressure for the late game one, because late game Mundo with the teleport, so strong. Early game Renekton, very strong. So you kind of do the trade there.
Well, we see Lee Sin coming out here in the jungle for Cyanide. And actually, if we think back to the last time that these two teams met, Soaz played Mundo in the top lane. Cyanide played Lee Sin in the jungle. The rest of the team was different compared to that. They had Orianna, Jinx and Annie in there, but a similar top lane jungle combo from this one. Rocket now coming to their last pick. It's going to be a mid laner here for Overpower.
Yeah, he needs to pick the mid laner. Gragas is gone. He loved to play that versus the 6 actually. Kale's also gone. A pick he's been using quite a lot. I'm not expecting a Mordekaiser to come out, but I'm sure he has something in mind.
That shut you up for a while there. Is it going to be an Alistar? Will we actually see that coming in?
We have seen Bjergsen actually been playing AP Alistar mainly in solo, switching around. K6 versus 6. The way you counter 6 is by the fact where you can actually jump to him and get to him and force him to, back off and not just poke all the time. And you can try and pick up an early kill. The thing about this matchup is the very, very early game. We're talking like level 1 to 3. There's actually kill potential for K6 if you manage to land a jump on 6. After that though, he's going to get a lot of poke from the 6, and it's going to be very hard for him to actually deal with it before he builds up some items. So we could potentially see Jankos helping out a lot, unless he can pick up the very early kill by himself.
What do we think then? Who's got the stronger lineup between these two? Familiar champions over on the Fnatic side. Lee Sin obviously in the jungle for Cyanide there. And he's done really, really well. We said, a couple of weeks ago that Cyanide is maybe a player to watch because he doesn't often get the credit that he's maybe due in that team because maybe of the other superstars that are in there, your Reckless, your XPK, your SOAS, even your Yellow Star, who, as you mentioned, is possibly the best support or has been the best support in Europe up until now. What do we think to Cyanide there on Lee Sin, going up against someone like Jankus who's shown he can make massive plays for his team? And the fact is he's playing Elise this time around as well.
I mean, always scary to face an Elise, but if you have a jungler who can deal with it, it is Lee Sin. You can actually duel her, you can take the skirmishes with the Elise, and if Cyanide can manage to get Fnatic rolling, get the lanes ahead, with the siege combo they have, and due to the, I would say, lack of wave clear on Rocket side, they more or less only have Lucian, unless Kha'Zix decide to involve his W for more wave clear. It's a bit unlikely though. So if they can manage to get ahead early with Fnatic, they can actually start really sieging down this turret and force Rocket into situations where they have to engage even though they've been poked. So that's kind of the way for Fnatic. If they win the early game, I actually see them taking a lot of control of the map.
Well, it's time to total up the votes and see who you guys chose to win this one. And according to LoLesports.com, Fnatic leads ROC on the fan vote with 67%. I don't think that's too far off in the scenario that we're in right now.
No,
honestly.
It's fairly spot on. Rocket won the last game, kind of bounced back. Fnatic have lost 2 in a row, so people started to say, they are humans. They can actually lose games. We didn't believe it in the start when they just won everything. But yeah, I think the voting are fairly spot on, and we're going to have an exciting match. I think we can just agree on that.
So here we go then, Fnatic versus ROC. Last time around, this game was absolutely unbelievable. And if it's just half as good, I think we'll all still be happy by the end of it. But let's see how it's all going to kick off here. We can see that what we've come to expect at level 1 spread out across the map in a line.
First thing I noticed is the fact that we have a Relic Shield on Vander. He talked about it in his interview yesterday. If he's against a non-poke lane, he can take this Relic Shield because he doesn't need the stats from the door and shield to actually help him survive in the laning phase. And instead he can actually shove and control the wave. And he can also, help out his AD carry a bit more.
So, level 1, just to quickly look at the trinket section. We've seen a couple of different variations actually coming out yesterday. Millennium, I want to say. My brain is a little bit wrong on that one, maybe. But a couple of sweeper lenses coming out at the start. This time around, though, everyone going in there with those warning totems. SOAS is missing those cleavers on purpose.
Definitely missing them. Every single one. But yeah, as you talk about, no sweeping lenses. I don't expect to see too much level 1 action. And I actually just expect to see most teams put down the wards they need to and go to the lanes. Both the bot lanes are moving, so they're going to be in the lane at 155. Nobody wants to give up, the early push, so the other team can get level 2 early and go on you.
Oh, here we go then, 140. See the junglers on their respective buffs right now. It's going to be a red buff start for ROC. That's Jankos with Xaxus there to help him out. Cyanide will be starting on the top side as well with the blue buff. SOAS is also there to give him a helping hand.
And the smart thing about Sana starting top side right here means he can go to the bot lane when he hits the level 3 mark and he has the double buff. And if the bot lane from Fnatic should have issues due to having Leona who can't do much early game, he will be there to help them, set something up, and maybe get them rolling from there.
Now, there is that bottom lane we were talking about. Caitlyn Leona versus Lucian Thresh right now. This early game, as you said, could be dangerous for Fnatic.
It's basically what they risk by picking Leona. Once you hit the level 6 mark, you're so strong, you can pretty much always all in because of your tanky stats and your heavy CC. But the early game, it is not very good for you. If you survive it though, with help from Lee Sin, Fnatic will be very strong. I see them going in here.
Yeah, a lot of damage already on towards Yellow Star. Reckless also took a bit of a blast, but they returned that damage back on towards Vander. So we'll see how that one all starts to phase up. We can see that Peke is actually waiting on the bottom side here for that next wave to be coming through, and that just to give him any kind of early warning whether Elise was coming around already.
Yeah, it meant he could actually spot him moving in, but at the same time, he had already shoved up the wave in mid. There was no reason for him to stay there and try and poke this early in the game. He's doing the right thing though. If he can play this safe, get a few levels, he can really start pulling out Overpower.
See, he's already started to do that, positioning, pushing Overpower right back onto his own turret, so that he has to sit there and farm things up underneath his tower, which I was just about to say shouldn't have too much problem with doing, and this is the first 2 CS that we see. But, pressure may be coming into this one, but again, Overpower, as soon as he moves forward, Peke throws everything at him.
Yeah, and this time Peke actually decided to move up to the turret and harass Overpower because Sana was nearby. If a gang should have been coming in from Elise, he would have been able to safeguard to him and, help out, and he might even win the 2v2 fight for Fnatic's favor.
there is Peke. Cyanide is still at the back, but Elisa's on the top side here by the Wraiths, and Jankos actually going to start to work his way around from this one. There's no ward in that top side, but Peke, with that wave coming back towards the middle of the lane, decides wisely at this point to back away a bit.
Yeah, notice how Peke is positioned in the lane. He's moving towards the side he has warded, so it's a lot easier for him to dodge a gank if it should happen. Jankos right now is forced to pretty much repel into his face, and that's very risky. He's going for it though.
He is going to go for it. Satchel will actually bounce Peke away. Cocoon misses, but they dive into it. Peke goes low. He's a dead man. His first blood coming down. Cyanide does get one back on towards Overpower, but I don't think Cyanide can fight this one. That got him very low, but Soaz has teleported down here. He's going to have Mundo running into him, and if these cleavers start to land, Jankos is in trouble. The bottom lane is starting to move up as well. There's the repel. Very smart from Jankos. Puts him back into the lane, and he is going to be able to escape this one.
Wow, very smart play by Jankos. He managed to escape due to the fact he could jump to the minions right here. Yellowstar did move up, but a bit too late. We have to touch about the fight though. We're talking about the early game damage of car 6. If he actually gets to 6, he jumps in and he managed to burst Peke so hard he didn't even flash in time.
Yeah, flash was used with the ignite from Peke. Actually, Overpower didn't even flash during that one. Yellowstar is now coming back into that lane, which that bit of wandering up towards the top side actually means that Celiva has already hit level 4 in that one, and Thresh won't be too far behind him. And you don't want to give someone like Vander the chance to really get going there. As Peke coming back into the lane, boots of speed, 2 Doran's rings now.
And Sana is instantly staying around the mid lane to help out if Overpower should jump on Peke. Peke has no flash, so he's very risky for him this one. He's ahead in the experience though, and with Sana staying nearby most of the time, he's feeling fairly safe.
Star just camping out in that bottom brush. And would throw maybe a blind through there and catch onto him, but Cyanide is down on the bottom side of the map here. That mid wave pushed out once again. Peke, despite going down for that first blood, is a good chunk of CS ahead, which we can expect, I think, at this point in things anyway.
Yeah, so basically he just shoved the wave in early. Right now, though, he's playing very safe. Again, he wants to keep the wave right here, so he's not in risk of getting ganked by Jankos once again. Talking a little bit about the bot lane, very impressive that Reckless is actually even in CS. He has the Leona support, who can't do much other than pretty much all in. So he's doing a very good job, and this is why he loves to play Caitlyn. You can always farm.
Always farm from safety right at the back of that minion wave, as well as Zazas just goes in for a bit of damage on towards Soaz, and actually it's quite a lot of damage. There's the ignite going down, and that is a 1v1 kill in the top lane. That shouldn't happen.
That should never happen. Soaz completely underestimated the damage from Sasus, and he actually ends up dying for it. And this is just Rocket picking up kills where they need. They're actually setting up the dragon now, but Soaz is dead.
And all 4 men, 2 from the bottom, the mid laner and the jungler around this one. You see Dragon started off, but they actually back away from that one.
Yeah, wisely enough, because they spotted Cyanide in the mid lane, so they knew he was nearby, and Fnatic could move up and actually start a 4v4. You don't want to start it this early when you have taken damage from the dragon, but it actually hurts quite a lot in this level 5-4 area.
Celiva starting to move in closer there to the duo of Fnatic, but actually his jungler was recalling. This top lane, as he said, Zazas taking down Soaz 1v1. That gives him a 2-level jump actually over Soaz at this point, and because Soaz wasn't level 6, they didn't have that amazing ultimate in those scenarios to give him that massive regen.
But this was kind of the trade or the risk we touched on in Champ Select. When you pick Renekton versus Mundo, you have the early game on Renekton, but you have the late game on Dr. Mundo. This time around though, Sasus really managed to get everything from this and actually pick up a kill. Normally you just see Renekton being ahead in CS and pressuring the Mundo down. This time though, he got a very nice kill.
Jankos just getting himself a red buff on the top side. Actually was just pinged on there, so they pretty much know the timer on that one. I don't think there's a ward. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there's actually a ward up there. There is. I'm telling a complete lie. He was stood on top of the ward. So they had the position. They know exactly where Jankos was there. And they ping over the other side. They know that he's switched over to that bottom side of the jungle. So keeping tabs nicely here on Jankos.
Yeah, that's what they need to do, because Jankos, he's the one who's making the plays early game for Rocket. Look towards the top lane though. We have the Tiamat already completed onto Sasus, which means he can just constantly shove this wave all the time. And if he should get ganked, he's fairly safe as a Renekton. He's very beefy, and there's not too much hard to see from either Dr. Mundo or Sin to actually shut him down.
Look at that, underneath the tower, Zazas reduces Soaz to half HP. Really great play from him. Are they going to go for Dragon here? They're going to start that one off. Actually, Lee Sin is on the backside of things, so this is actually a possibly more dangerous scenario than the last one.
It is. Well, the bottom from Fnatic is far away. Rocket knew this. That was why they actually went for this one. They saw them recall, and immediately they said, we're in a position to do this. Fnatic is not to actually fight for it. Go straight for the Dragon. Very smart call, and very low risk call as well, because they knew the bot lane was gone.
Here we see Xaxus between the towers. Easy work when you've got that Tiamat in there, to be honest. There's not much preventing him from doing this one. They knew that Cyanide was down there by the Dragon. They saw his Q actually being thrown into the Dragon Pit, and Xaxus just having a bit of a roam. Going to get some deeper vision in there just to make sure that he's safe in case Cyanide comes across. Goes straight back up to the Tribush as the next wave of minions start to come into that lane.
Xaxus, he's just going to keep free farming, as it is right now. We still have to touch on the fact, though, that Peggy in the mid lane is far ahead in CS. Yes, there is a kill on Overpower, but Peggy so far is ahead in goal due to the fact that he can more or less just shove the wave constantly whenever he wants to, and there's nothing Overpower can do to stop him.
A really good job of actually, well, despite the death, playing so solidly, playing it defensively. He's sat on 1700 gold. Xaxus there in that top lane once again, just going in this time on towards the turret. So as he's a bit tankier now that he's got that giant belt in there, along with his Doran shield from earlier, we can see that Jankos has come up towards that top side as well. He had the double buffs on right there, so just showing that he's ready to play.
It was a very clever ward though by Source. He kind of thought, I can get dive right here, Renekton can tank the turret, and with the damage on the execute from Elise, they can actually take me down, even though my ultimate is running.
There's the culling coming out from Celiva. That's one way to clear out the wave that's gathered underneath your turret, and well, because of Cyanide's position there, they didn't want to give him too much time to have a go onto that outer turret. We've not seen a turret being taken down yet, we should mention, but I think that top one may be the first one to fall. Xaxus keeping pushed incredibly close onto the tower itself. Soaz is just backed away, does have TP, but he's walking back to the lane here. That might actually be the tower down.
Yeah, he's actually going to take it down right now. No reason to use teleport from Soaz, because it's just going to go down on the next wave then, because he's just going to keep shoving it in. And this means now that Xaxus, he can just constantly push for the next turret, and if Source is teleporting away, you might actually risk losing your second turret in this lane.
Bottom, which has been fairly quiet, to be honest. We're expecting maybe once they hit level 6 some fall-ins to come down from Yellow Star, but that's not really happened. Reckless, we should touch on that, because his CS lead right now is starting to grow.
Fnatic is simply saying we don't have to all in to win this lane, we're just out-farming them, and they're doing such a good job. Reckless, I don't think he's missing any CS at the moment, and same goes for Peg in the mid lane. That's why Fnatic is actually doing okay, despite being down a Dragon and a turret for Rocket side.
They're going to go all in for this one. Cyanide was waiting at the backside. In fact, he's still waiting there. It needs Yellow Star, though, to pretty much hit an entire combo if they are to get this one started off. Vander just waiting. Actually hits the recall there. So looks like Vander and Celiva may be backing off from that one. Beckett again moving back on towards his raids. He's been farming them up constantly so far this game.
Yeah, I mean, look at the farm on Cyanide compared to the farm on Jankos. Jankos is getting the jungle camps he needs. Cyanide has to give up a lot because Pega is constantly shoving his own wave, going to the waves. It's how you get really fed as 6, and it's a smart enough tactic if Pega can then carry from there on.
We shall see about that one up until now. Despite that death at level, I say at level 1. The early first blood, I think they were around level 3 when that actually happened. He's done a great job. Actually has 2 levels in advantage over Overpower. That top lane though, we just saw it briefly. It's not been the nicest of times for Soaz. You can see that Tiamat in there is causing him a few problems, to say the least.
It is. Soaz pretty much can only just stay around his own turret and then farm whatever comes to him. And I actually think Fnatic is fine with this. Oh, see, jumping in on Peke.
Oh, on Peke. 2/3 of his health gone pretty much instantly from that one. Actually, Xaxus coming down here from that top lane. I say top lane, it's pretty much Fnatic's blue buff kind of level on that top side of the map, so it's quick for him to move over. And this is a blue buff possible steal coming in, and, well, they do pick that one up. Meanwhile, Cyanide going to get jumped on. This is hard to get away from the cocoon. Doesn't quite land. Meanwhile, Celiva all alone in that bottom lane. We did see Vander throwing out the lantern to bring his AD carry back to safety. 2 close encounters, no kills though.
No, but action everywhere, and Rocket is doing the exact thing they should do with Xaxus when he's pushed up the lane so much. Go for this blue buff, because they have all the pressure, they have all the vision on Fnatic's members, so they can go in here and take it. Jankos had to smite it, so they couldn't give it to Overpower due to Cyanide moving in, and he was, in smite range for it.
And just having that red buff now on his own. Overpower, we've seen how much damage he can do. Brutalizer, I think Pickaxe is what he's currently got in his arsenal. The Queen's Unholy Grail has been done on that last return here by Peke, who's quite frankly farming up a storm at this point. And actually, he actually was top in terms of farm at 20-minute mark across the entire EU LCS.
He's always been like this, like constantly farming. That's what Pega does. It's what he's good at. We have seen him play these assassin types where he focuses more on killing, but generally he likes to fall back on these very farm-heavy ones. And I think it favors Fnatic quite a lot. That it gives a lot of safety. The fact you will get this very strong AP champion for when the team fights actually start. And now Soa's getting dived.
Yeah, Soa's getting dived here by Jankos and by Xaxus, and he pops his ultimate here. The Ignite was down onto him, and we saw even with those turret hits coming in, he's still pretty healthy from that one. Soa's pushed right down to the wire. Flash had to be used to get away.
And Xaxus, he's so strong. This does mean, though, he won't have the ultimate if he decides to move down for this dragon fight. It's going to be in about 10 seconds when the dragon spawns. He might, though, just choose to stay in this top lane and constantly push it down, force Soas to stay, otherwise he will lose his turret.
Down on the bottom lane there, we see that 140 to 122 CS. Rekkles having a good time of things in that lane. He's got the workings of that Bloodthirster already. Other side, Celiver has finished off his Bloodthirster. I can only surmise from that there's a lot of gold currently sat along with Rekkles. There was the blue buff given him, okay, 900 gold that Rekkles currently has, which is enough for him to do that. But we have Dragon coming in. Roccat are already in position.
There's a ward on it. Will Fnatic try and contest it or just try and steal it with the 6th bomb? They're not really in a position to fight, though.
Oh, not quite quick enough there, and there is the hook coming in. The Cocoon came first, and Vander will pick up the kill, and it was a last-ditch dive in there for Cyanide to try and smite it away, and why not? Cyanide has proved to be one of the best in the game when it comes to stealing stuff like that.
Yeah, but Vander predicted the safeguard, so he just fired away the hook instantly as Cyanide actually jumped in, and he got him, managed to take him down. And Fnatic, they just gave up this dragon. They don't dare to fight anything. And Saz now going on for Pegger.
Between the turrets, with that minion wave pushed up there, they weren't tanking any of that damage up, so actually get away because Peke was able to clear out that wave pretty quickly on that one. Meanwhile, Vander and Celiver in there for this one. They'll not finish off the pink ward, and Jankos will be spotted coming in. That's a good ulti out of Yellow Star, but is it going to be enough to keep him alive? There's the Cocoon landing, and there's the kill for Jankos.
And Rocket is just everywhere this time. They've even gone for Rekkles.
Oh, he's not going to escape this one. Uses a barrier, but there's a bite down from Jankos once again. Picks himself up the double kill. Roccat, they're taking everything right now.
They're dominating the map completely, and every time Fnatic moves somewhere, Rocket is there with multiple people and takes the kills they need, or the dragon. And right now, they're just destroying Fnatic in this early game.
Oh, Vander down in the bottom lane actually is pretty much being pushed out by Soa as he was trying to recall. Soa's actually going to dive in from this one, and the presence of Celiver and Jankos actually forcing him back. Flash used by Vander just to get himself out to safety.
And Soa did use his teleport to come down there. He didn't get anything for it, except for the minion wave, and yeah, forcing the flash from Vander. Rekkles moving up to his top lane to defend it from Xaxus. He needs to be careful though. If he's left alone, Xaxus can dive him. Cyanide might want to try and close in for this one though.
Not sure if you can kill him though.
Nope.
Level 9 to level 12. Xaxus like, well, you throw your Q at me, and in the end he didn't even dodge it. It was just missed by Cyanide. Overpower actually starting to put more pressure on towards Peke as well. Almost got that last whisper added in towards his Brutalizer. They'll be feeling a lot more confident to go in. Actually, Fnatic pushing their duo lane up to the top side to try and deal with Xaxus.
We did see them recalling now. They might actually want to move back to his bot lane, unless he actually goes to stop them.
Well, and he does stop them, as well as we are going to see Overpower diving in there. But Cyanide is coming around. The Q doesn't connect, and Overpower will be able to walk away from it. There's a bomb. Oh, not got the damage to finish off Overpower. He's going to start to recall. Jankos had come around there towards that mid lane just to cover things off. And in the end, no kill. So close to taking out Overpower though.
And meanwhile, Rocket can now take this bot turret. Even though they're losing the CS in the mid and the bot lane, they have all the map control, and they constantly, every time Fnatic moves around, they will take something else. Right here though, you see Sana staying around the mid lane, and as soon as Overpower jumped, he was there. He helped out Pega, and they almost picked out a kill.
I think a bit of a worrying time in terms of the items that have been purchased here recently. Haunting Guys for Elise, Last Whisper on Lucian, Last Whisper on Kha'Zix, Spirit Visage in there for Xaxus' Renekton. That's a good few big items.
You see Sana kicking back Jankos, not getting him into the turret range, so he should be able to escape. We see Soas though closing in from behind. Can they get him?
Soas coming in from that top side of things. There is the repel, but Jankos can't really go in anywhere. There is the flash. He does get slowed. Brilliant Cocoon coming down. Here comes Overpower as well. Jankos still walking away, but Peke will finish him.
And this time it's Fnatic that punishes Rocket for overextending, getting a much needed kill on Peke. He's so farmed. He has a kill now. He's actually starting to get quite some items. He is lacking all the global gold that Rocket has. That's also why we see the last whisper already completed. Now Overpower going on Soas.
Speaking of last whisper, we're going to see Overpower using that here again. So as the bomb coming down, Overpower falls low. Soaz sees a chance for a kill here and will be able to pick one up. Xaxus going on towards Soaz though. He flashes in there, will get the finisher. Peke can't really kill off Xaxus here, I feel. He's trying to get the slow with the mines. That doesn't work for him. And that will be a 1-for-1 trade.
But it's so many fights right now, and Rocket, they are so aggressive. They constantly want to go in for these fights, even though they don't even know where rest of Fnatic is. Sana was closing in on them. They went for the fight anyway, ended up trading 1-for-1. That's all right. But in the end, I think they're playing a little bit too aggressive because they had quite a good lead, and they could just try and rotate more, wait for the next dragon, and then pick a 5v5 fight instead.
Xaxus' regen, you see it almost back up to full HP after that one. The mines will wipe out that minion wave and can't put any more damage onto the turret. But the bot lane, they're not scared of things either. They've got decent wards down by that red buff area, so they know if anyone's coming down through the jungle, they can keep pushing.
They can keep pushing, and also because they knew where Cyanide was for the last minute. He was in mid lane first for the counter game, and then he returned to the mid lane afterwards, so they had full vision of him, and they knew there was no risk of them dying. And right now, with a last whisper and DP on your Lucian, you're not really afraid of 2v2 fights.
And Xaxus again going towards that mid lane with Overpower for company. This is another turret. This is the last outer turret taken by ROC, and we've commented on this so many times in their victories that they are one of the best teams that we've seen. When they get a lead, of turning that lead into such a big one that you can't come back.
Yeah, and we actually saw it from the start. They got a small early game lead, and instantly they took the dragon, took the next dragon, started taking the top turret down, and so far now, they're just pressuring Fnatic everywhere, and we have dragon come up in 30 seconds. I'm not even sure Fnatic can actually fight for it.
30 seconds, and there are 4 men down on the bottom lane. We see the Overpower starting to move through the Fnatic jungle as well to join up with them. That turret, that inner turret on the bottom lane is also not very healthy at this point. Dragon up in 20 seconds. Rocket could just stay here for now, as that bomb is going to come across. Does connect onto Vander, but will he be able to do anything? There's Overpower catching Peke inside of the jungle. There is the satchel charge, doesn't send him far enough, and Overpower picks up a kill, just stalking him through the jungle.
Superior ward coverage in the jungle of Fnatic means that they can see every movement they're doing. Peke had to move down to throw his ultimate, but then Overpower, he's just waiting for him, as instantly he saw the chance and he could jump with him. And the smart thing Overpower did, when we saw the satchel coming down from Peke, Overpower stepped on the right side of it, so he jumped with Peke when he activated it.
Using Peke's tools against him in that case. And that's obviously set them up perfectly for Dragon. We said 20 seconds until that's won. They got the kill inside of the jungle. They took that bottom inner turret, and now they take Dragon again. Look at the gold. We're approaching a 10,000 gold lead almost here, not even 22 minutes in.
And who cares about losing in CS in your lane if you're getting all the global gold on the map? We have 3 dragons and 4 turrets to nothing on Fnatic's side. They really need to try and get something from this, or at least try and extend the game. And now we have to touch on the fact Caitlyn 6, that is wave clear. That means extending the games, unless Rocket can manage to dive them and maybe shut them down, or keep doing what they're doing now, picking up kills whenever they see a chance, and then get something else on the map. But with the combo from Fnatic, they can really defend and extend this game for a long time until they have the needed items.
Let's have a look at the point you were making there. Peke, 200 HCS to the 152. Kills pretty similar from that one, but if we look at the gold that they've taken throughout this game so far as the bomb comes into the middle there, the gold that they've taken throughout the game between them is actually pretty close, sorry, with 200 just being the difference from that one. That's with that massive farm lead that Peke has.
Yeah, but again, this is global gold. This is why global gold is so strong, because it's for everyone on the team. You can have as much farm as you want, it's only gold on you, not the rest. So what Rocket has been doing is simply playing the map. They had weaker lanes, didn't matter for them. Instead, they just took everything they could, and Fnatic didn't react to a single dragon.
Yeah, and you can see that in the top lane as well, 2,000 difference, 4,000 gold difference between the junglers, for example. The AD carries is 1,000 gold in there, so we are going to see Overpower going a little bit deep from this one. Actually may end up getting caught out. Cyanide is at the back. Overpower still alive from it. Vander throws out the hook, but it goes straight between them. No kills there.
Overpower stealth just activated when Sana was about to kick him back, so he couldn't target him in the stealth, and instead he ended up doing nothing with it.
3 of them knocked up, but they're a 4-man defense against what is a 5-man Fnatic team in this mid lane. Overpower obviously had to go back home to heal, but he shall be back here in just a second, and ROC have started to move over towards the Baron dance.
And they have
see
double
pink
ping
wards
wards.
down, yeah.
There's no vision. Look at the whole ward coverage here from Rocket's side. Everything for Fnatic is warded. They will throw the bomb and spot them out though. They're moving for this one. They want to fight.
Didn't really do that much to them there. That's a worrying sign from Fnatic as a hook going to land on towards Cyanide. They want to keep him away, and they're going to keep him away by killing him. Overpower gets that one. The Baron is going very, very low. Rocket's still doing that. Will finish that, and now they're going to surely be hunting for the kills. The stun comes on to Soaz. He pops his ultimate, but can he escape from this one? There's a push from the side. Good satchel charge will knock them back. That means that Soaz lives, but Cyanide went down. Baron went over to Rocket.
Yeah, and Rocket completely expected Cyanide to move around there so he could try and steal the Baron, and the hook came in from Vander. We have seen it so many times. Instantly hooks him, kills him with Overpower, and there's no chance of them actually losing the Baron from there. They did take a lot of damage though, because they were stuck in this pit versus the 6 constantly throwing in bombs, but they managed to pick it up, and very fast reaction from Rocket, instantly going for this. Look at the hook coming from Vander first, and then Cyanide, he's just dead instantly. The damage coming in from Pegato, and actually the ultimate from Yellowcard completely missing. He could have maybe taken out Vander. He would have done too much for the fight though, because now, right now, after the pick up this Baron, they're just chasing down, and Fnatic, they're too far behind to even fight him.
Should probably remind you guys, coming into this game, Fnatic 7 wins, 2 losses, Rocket 6 wins, 3 losses. Now, this will actually put them level in the table if Rocket can see this win through. They're currently exactly 10,000 gold in the lead, 25 minutes in, 4-0 in turrets, although Fnatic's first turret of the game might come to them as Soaz is pressuring that top side, and actually it won't, because Zazas has come over there, and I tell you what, he might fancy his chances of having a good go at that big tanky Mundo.
We have hit the point though where the tanks can't really kill each other. It's more or less just push out the wave and then move somewhere else to make a play. Source, he's having his teleport so he can stay in the top lane, constantly pick up the farm he needs, then rely on Pekka and Reckless to just wave clear in the mid lane over and over, forcing Rocket to have to do a rather risky dive, and then maybe Fnatic can try a comeback.
Soaz again being pressured. Zazas pushing out his wave so quickly with that Ravenous Hydra. And Spirit Visage has got another Giant's Belt in there as well.
And we have to touch on one thing. Look at the junglers right here. Farm-wise and item-wise. Yang does so much more farm, so much more global gold, and he's going his full AP Elise build again, where he's able to pretty much destroy anyone who comes close, and they can get this early kill that Overpower needs to get his reset, so he can keep jumping on in fights.
We've seen a Bloodthirster added in as well for Kha'Zix. Celiver almost got that Trinity Force on top of his Bloodthirster and Last Whisper at this point. And the thing is, Overpower can go to any lane with his Kha'Zix right now, because if he comes down to a 1v1, that's where he really shines.
Yeah, that's where he really shines. He might actually want to shove out this lane and then try and come in behind Fnatic here in the mid turret and instantly kill a target. It will require though that he either land a Cocoon or a hook from Vander to really set it up.
We see that Yellow Star has actually come down to that bottom lane to help things out with Reckless, who currently Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster. Well, look at Zazas, pretty much alone here. He's going to carve a second turret in that top lane. The middle inner turret has gone down. Overpower jumps in on towards Reckless there. He's going to be stealthed up, actually gets slowed, and the stuns are going to start to come around. Exhaust is down as well. Overpower's going to try and escape this one, but with the bomb, with the ace in the hole. I mean, they killed him, but they've thrown so much at him, and that's going to mean a free inning turret for Rocket on the top side.
Yeah, it was a desperate move by Fnatic. Actually going in on Source right here. Won't be able to pick up the kill, but desperate move by Fnatic, moving 4 people down to take on 1 guy and giving up a mid turret for it. This means Rocket can actually move down for this in-hit now and force Fnatic to either take a fight or give it up for free. And we have to give credit to Rocket, what they're doing is so smart. They know there's a lot of wave clear on Fnatic's side, so they spread out in all 3 lanes and just pressure every single one down and forcing Fnatic to lose the turret in one of the lanes. This was the top one because Mundo was there. He couldn't wave clear himself, and therefore he lost the turret, and they also managed to pick up the mid one because Fnatic rotated bot to try and pick up the kill on Overpower.
Yeah, there's no real risk in that play from Rocket, because even if they do get taken down, it needs probably 3 people to do that, which means somewhere else is just open for them. And with the Renekton pushing top, with the Kha'Zix down bottom, and the rest of them then in the mid lane, either of those lanes can take a turret then.
And that's the thing, because if Fnatic engage from them in the mid lane, You have the 2 solo laners. They're actually fairly close. They can come in very fast and join the fight, maybe clean up, get a few kills here, and get some resets. And at the same time, if we saw Fnatic do what they did, send multiple people to one lane to kill a single guy, you just take the mid turret with your 3 people. So all in all, very nice play by Rocket, and they're using this lead perfectly.
More items actually starting to be picked up here. A Void Staff for the jungle, at least on top of Abyssal Scepter and that Haunting, guys, as you mentioned, going full damage here is Jankos.
And this is the Jankos build. He wants to be able to be a threat in these team fights, and he wants to be able to carry. And again, as I touched on earlier, when you combine this with the targets and a single target burst damage from Elise, you can take a target so low that Overpower can come in, get the kill, get the reset, and then keep going. And meanwhile, you have Silver with now Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, and Last Whisper standing in the backline, just hammering away on whoever comes close.
Now also see that Locket of the Iron Solari being picked up here for Van, and an item that we're only seeing spotted in certain teams, certainly not as popular as it used to be.
But it's very smart against AoE from Pekka. If he throws down his ultimate and you pop this shield around everyone nearby, it will take quite a lot of the damage away and also keep Rocket fairly healthy. So it's a smart pickup.
And Ghostblade, another item which we don't get to see all that often here, is now finished on Overpower as well. He's doing such a great job, and we can see that Rocket going in there once again. Xaxus just volleying out, pushing his top wave back, and the rest of them in the mid looking for a free inhib.
They're basically just forcing Fnatic to keep people in the mid lane while Xaxus gets some turret damage up in the top lane. And now Fnatic actually going in.
Yeah, they're actually going in for this one, but Cyanide's just going to pay the price. There was no follow-up from the rest of the team. Yellowstar pushed away. They dive on towards Soaz. He's a tanky one, and he's down to less than half. Inhib falls, and they can go straight to that top lane because of the fact that Xaxus has just pushed that one out previously. This is inhibitor turret number 2, taken away by Rocket, and they're going to have the second inhib as well.
And Cyanide is dead for 20 seconds more. Even if he should come up, if he does this again, he will just die instantly. Rocket didn't even use anything. They're going on Soaz now.
Xaxus is going on Soaz. Well, he's going super low. They actually turn it around here. Xaxus is going to fall. That's basically a free kill from Fnatic. Xaxus pushing a bit too far out.
A great ultimate coming in from Yellowstar, stun locking him there. The lantern was there for him to take it out, but he was simply stunned all the time. Great ultimate from Yellowstar, getting a much needed kill. But by this time, I'm afraid Fnatic needs kind of a miracle to win this game.
I don't think you're too far off the mark as well in terms of it being a miracle. Look at the Goldie, 15,000. We've got 6 seconds until Baron comes up. Rocket really don't need it at this point, but they can use it to bait out the fight.
And look what Fnatic's doing. Overpower is on a ward. They can maybe get a kill here and then take the Baron afterwards.
Well, they might need to hurry up about this one because Overpower's having a good go. Ace in the hole will get the kill though from Reckless. That's another nice pick, just purely from vision control. And look at this, they're moving straight to Baron. The problem that Rocket have is that Celiva is down on the bottom side. The Overpower is dead. It's basically going to be up to Jankos here for a steal.
Yeah, Jankos has to try and steal this one because Xaxus is far away, Celiva is far away. Fnatic can try and burst this one down and try and get it.
Oh, Cyanide in on top of that one, and actually we are going to see them going in, and there is the steal! Jankos picks up the Baron, Reckless is going to fall, that's 2 kills coming down, Cyanide will die as well, and the shutdown even came, double kill comes in, triple kill comes down, and it's Celiva that picks them up. 4 men down for Fnatic with 40 second spawn timers. The Baron picked up there, smited away by Jankos in the end. They're going to go for the win. In fact, they surrender.
They surrendered. Fnatic had to make this call of going for the Baron. They had to do it, and they had to risk Elise stealing it. It was the only choice because they were so far behind. Jankos, though, showing how good he is. Coming in, gets the steal, and then they can just grab up everything and get the kills they need to finish the game.
Amazing play there out of Rocket. I wasn't expecting quite the one-sided victory there that we did see coming out for Rocket, but we did say it, that this is the team that if you give them any kind of lead, Reckless himself said we need a strong mid-game against Rocket because they drive those advantages home, and in the mid-game, my gosh, did they do that.
Yeah, and everything kind of started with Xaxus winning his top lane so hard. He picked up the kill 1v1 versus Soaz and took the turret, and he constantly was a pain for Fnatic to deal with. Later on, Rocket simply went for the dragons. As soon as they saw the bot lane for Fnatic recalling, they took the first dragon, got the time on that one. Fnatic had no idea it was being taken. Then they took the next one and next one and next one. And therefore, they simply just kept extending the lead. And yes, they played a little bit over-aggressive just when we started the mid-game area. But it wasn't even too much, and they always managed to trade at least 1 for 1.
I have to ask you about this question that I had before the game, is Fnatic's dominance over the league ended? We saw them playing double AP comps. Obviously, it didn't work out for them. 2 games in a row. Now, mid-season experimentation, I guess we could maybe even put that one down to. But this time, they went back to a combo that had been winning them games previously, that had put them to that 7-0 that they were sat at before they lost their first game to Gambit. Now, this is 3 losses in a row that Fnatic have had. Does your answer to that question change?
Not really. I think more it's because people are really starting to prepare things versus Fnatic. You always want to prepare some tactics for the first team in the league. You want to have something special, and you're really motivated when you go into these games because you know you have nothing to lose. If you win this one, it's fantastic. If you lose, well, it was the first team. So you play without pressure. I think for me though, Fnatic has really slowed down the game. Early game, they're playing a lot more passive due to these very farm-heavy champions. Also, we talk about the Jinx in the pre-game. Caitlyn, you just farm your lane. That's it. You farm your lane, you get as much farm as possible, and then you try and go into this late game point where you're very strong. Jinx, on the other hand, and Reckless used to play 100% win rate. They just took kills after kills after kills, and it shut down these teams early game. They're not doing this anymore. And it's hurting them, because they rely more now on Sana trying to make plays, and also just every lane not losing. Like, if a single lane is losing at this point, pretty much everything falls apart for Fnatic in the early game.
Now, after all that action, I'm going to ask you, which moments are going to stay with you? I mean, as we said, mid-game, there was a lot of fun. Some overextension here and there, but generally, ROC was so good.
ROC overall were just amazing. Everything they did around the map was pretty much perfect. And if we have to highlight, a special guy from this, Sasus in the top lane again, he did everything right. Constant pressure, constantly taking the turret, getting kill. He didn't constantly take the turret. He took the turret and got the kill he needed. And then the rest of, Jankos again, completely out-farming Cyanide. He was everywhere on the map. He got the AP items he needed. And then we saw when Fnatic actually tried to engage in the later stages of the game, they just instantly bursted down Cyanide. He could do nothing.
Absolutely hammered him. And guys, it's your turn to tell us which moments were your favorites. You can tweet to us at LOLesports and be sure to use the hashtag LCS Big Plays. And you never know, you could become a little bit more famous if yours makes it to air here. But Fnatic now sat at 7 for 3. ROC sat at 7 for 3. Gambit lost early on. This was actually Gambit's chance to overtake everyone and go straight to the top.
Yeah, instead we have the three-way tie. Again, this is Europe. We just have ties everywhere. Everyone is so close. Everyone is beating each other. It is impossible to predict these games. And that just makes it so more exciting to watch and also to cast, because you never know what to expect. And I love it.
Well, that's what we all hope for, right? For these close games, for these swings in play. Fnatic dominating at the start. They've now lost 3 in a row. I don't think ever anyone would have thought that as they were sat at 7 for 0 just a week or 2 ago.
One thing we have to remember, though, we're still quite early in the season. A lot more can happen. Yes, you can be number 1 for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then you can all of a sudden lose everything and you drop down. So at the moment, we're just seeing a lot of very strong teams, and we're seeing teams, finding out how to play against each other and using this for later on this season, where we're really going to see who's the best.
Well, one thing's for sure, there's still a ton more of action to come. But guys, we're going to head to base and replenish our mana. And when we return, we'll hear from ROC's Jankos. Yesterday, though, Alliance took down first place Fnatic, while Millennium went 1-1. With both teams tied for last position, who will move up in the standings and win a match? And it's coming up here next. According to NIF, communication will be the key to Alliance's success.
I think the main issue with us is really that we have to be on the same page, that we have to talk to each other all the time about the game, how we're going to play it, how we want to win this game. And if we do that, I think we're going to be really strong.